Yeah. And so you have to be, you can't feel bad that you got caught or found in a situation like that, because no matter how good you are, that can still happen to anybody. And if you think you're above that, you're not. I'll tell you right now. And not that I was perfect through that scenario, but going through all that stuff. People have asked me that. What if if you had your gun again? I'm like, I
you
wouldn't
have
have
had a chance. Yeah, you wouldn't have had an opportunity.
To do it over again, if I knew that, when I pulled up, would I known there was a guy? So the guy who had the gun was probably hiding in the middle in the cars, and when I circled, I just didn't see him. It's dark, it's night, you can't check every single nook and cranny.
Right.
Would I have drawn my weapon and had it at my side when I walked out of the garage? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
Would I still been able to, with a guy having a gun pointed at me, even bring that up to get an effective round? Me personally, probably would have not tried that shot.
Yeah, that's a risky shot. Action beats reaction every time, and he's already got the gun on you. All he's got to do is this. You've got to pull the gun out, point it in his direction, and squeeze the trigger.
So it's a lot of variables go to that. So really, it comes down to be prepared, take the time to get good training, but don't think you're invincible. Because I'll tell you now, you're not.
It's absolutely. It's not a talisman. It's not going to stop everything from happening.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what else would I like to? There was something I was thinking of. Training, being prepared. You did all the right things. And it was good that you had a plan and you knew that there was an opportunity, and you were able to take that opportunity when it came up.
And it's not that I was paranoid, and not that I live my life thinking there's a bad guy around every corner. And Peter Johnson with Archway Defense, and you've had Peter riding shotgun with you, talks about that too. That it's not being paranoid. You're not thinking a ninja's going to drop out of every ceiling, but it's being aware and understanding the situation of where you're at and what you're doing. And we all know there's times when you're going to, driving down the freeway here to work, you're most likely not going to run into a bad situation. It could be a road rage situation, but again, as somebody who is a permit holder and carrier, you typically go out of your way to avoid something like that. Some guy cuts me off. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to
screams and flips him the bird, and
I'm not going to do anything
swearing and shouting at him. Absolutely.
Somebody starts doing that to me. He's freaking out at me, or I realize he's following me. I'm taking a turn. If he's still following me, 911. Hey, I got some guy. I think he's upset at me for my driving. Here's where I'm going. I'm just going to drive to the police station. Or whatever. But this guy's been following me.
Well-lit area or something.
Whatever you need to do to be safe. But so you have an idea. Then there's and nowadays there's places you go, and where you're prohibited from being able to defend yourself.
Yeah,
and that's a whole nother show probably. But there's lots of things to be aware of. But I strongly encourage people to get good training. Call Charlie.
Yeah, absolutely. Call me up. I took a class a few years ago. It was a firearms retention, but it was also how to get a gun out of someone's hand.
Yeah.
And the instructor that taught the class, he's a great guy. He's a little bit of a maniac, but he says, if I can touch your elbow, I can get the gun out of your hand, and you're not going to shoot me.
Yeah.
And there's so many times, like hearing your story, I'm like, okay, would that technique that I learned from him, would that have worked to get the gun out of his hand?
Yeah, I thought about, if in a sweep, especially if you feel the muzzle of the gun against your back and turning. After the fact, I thought about some of those things, but I'm like, in that situation, without more training, I would have been comfortable. And especially with a second guy there.
Oh yeah.
It would have been, near impossible for me to do that. Yes, I could have maybe avoided that, but those two guys, the second guy was going to be on me.
Right.
And that's just not a situation you want to find yourself in.
Absolutely not. I heard somebody say one time, they're like, if you push the slide back on a semi-auto, then it's out of battery, and it can't be fired. But you can't. One, you can't rely on that. Two, you need a plan after that. Like here's a fast plan A. Now we need a plan B.
Yeah.
We don't have time to be fooling around with with other stuff.
So that's kind of my story and what launched me into
into taking this. Cool. Now, how does the licensing procedure go here in Minnesota?
Minnesota is a shall issue state.
Nice.
So which is great, and we've had a huge. We're a blue state, but we have a lot of outdoorsmen and things like that. So we're a fairly gun-friendly state.
Right.
But here, permit process, you make your application, full background check, and you need to take your class. Typically, a class is going to be a day, 8 hours. There are online classes that you can take at your home, and we do have a range requirement. And depending on the instructor, that could be as few as a couple of rounds, or it could be a whole box of rounds. It's really kind of up to the instructor. There's no state standard minimum that you need to do. It's not like
it just says some live firing.
Yep, some live fire. You need the live fire. You get signed off, and then it's a matter of taking it to the sheriff's office in the county where you live and submit it. Pay your $100, $120, depends on which county you're in, and 30 days later they'll respond with either your permit or sorry, we declined it. But if you pass the background check, which means you don't have any felonies, you don't have a restraining order against you, ever been committed to a mental institution, or treatment, they'll bring up a drug treatment deal.
That's always good to have. Good to have all the clear background check. I like to call my gun license my good guy card. And I go right through the list of things that I haven't done in order to get it. And like you were saying, if you get your gun license, you're passing a background check. Or if you pass a background check, you're going to get your gun license. Once somebody has their gun license, they don't want to lose that.
Yeah. So there's the most law-abiding people out there.
There are, because you know what? I've got this little piece of paper from the government that says I can carry a gun in places where I can carry a gun, and I can, in my state, I have to have one in order to own one. I don't want to do anything to lose that. I like that. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't want to do anything to lose the ability to have some sort of a gun. So, I like to tell people I'm a little conscious about my speed when I drive. I avoid drinking and driving. I avoid doing stupid stuff. If there's there's a road rage incident, I certainly try to avoid those, and I've successfully avoided them for a long time. But you want to de-escalate and say, hey, listen, you know what, man, I'm really sorry. I cut you off. It's my fault. I apologize. Try to de-escalate it so it doesn't turn into a situation where some guy starts screaming and shouting and freaking out and pulling out a tire iron and threatening you with it.
That's the last thing any of us want to do, is ever have to use our weapon in a self-defense situation.
Exactly.
But in this day and age, in where we are, the reality of those things in active shooter situations are something that
it's a possibility. It is.
Yeah. Well, and here we have the Mall of America. You went to the Mall of America.
I did go to the Mall of America.
Mall of America here is a gun-free zone.
Glad I only had my tactical pen.
Yes. In Minnesota, though, the signs do not carry
the force of law. Yep. No, in Massachusetts, they don't have the force of law either.
Yeah. And that's where, when you travel, whenever you do anything, take the time to be aware of the laws where you're going. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Exactly. Yeah, and everybody talks about having national reciprocity. I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea, but in some states you can. The no gun signs have the force of law. In some states they don't. In some places you can carry in a place that serves alcohol, but you can't be drunk. In some places you cannot carry in a place that serves alcohol.
In some places you can have a drink. In some states you cannot have any alcohol if you are carrying your firearm.
I think it's interesting, after Orlando happened, North Carolina came up about a week later, and they said, we're going to allow people to carry in a bar if they have a concealed carry permit, but they can't be intoxicated. So you can carry in a bar, and everyone's like, oh my God, you're going to get drunk and shoot somebody. You know what? If you're the designated driver, rock on. That's what you can do. And it says you can have the gun, but you can't be drunk. And obviously that's what we want as law-abiding citizens. We kind of put ourselves to a higher standard than not that most people do, but we do put ourselves to a higher standard because, again, we want to keep our good guy license.
Because by losing my license, that puts me in a situation where I'm not able to
protect your family.
Protect my family.
And that's what it's about. I didn't get into shooting until after I had a kid. And when my son was 9 months old when September 11th happened. And that's when I was like, you know what? There's bad guys out there.
Yes, there are.
I need to be able to protect me and my wife and my kid. And for me, it's the same thing for you. It just becomes a way of life. It's just a lifestyle that you get up and you put a gun on and you pay attention to your surroundings and you drive safe. It's just what you do. Yeah. So, listen, Lee, it's been a pleasure having you on. I appreciate you sharing your story with our people, and I honestly, Peter said we need to come back and get some range time.
Yes, you do.
Which kind of freaks me out because he's an unbelievable shot. So it's kind of intimidating.
If I can shoot with Peter, you can shoot with Peter.
Well, I would love to do that sometime. And next time I come back, I'm going to have to make it so I can bring some hardware.
We'll do
and
that.
we can throw some lead down range. So anyway, we've had Lee Michaels. Lee Michaels works at
AM 1280 The Patriot,
AM
Salem Media Group.
There we go, right here in Minneapolis, and it's been an honor to have you, Lee. You guys can find my videos at Riding Shotgun with Charlie. I've got a Facebook page, I've got a YouTube channel, and I'm going to get the website up and going, so you guys can find me there.
Charlie, I can't thank you enough. I've really been looking forward to Riding Shotgun with Charlie.
Man, I can't say I appreciate. I can't say I appreciate enough. I totally appreciate it.
Thank
you
you,
guys.
sir.
You guys have opened your house to me and my family, and it's been a great trip here.
You're welcome anytime.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, Lee.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.